Welcome back, and because it has been a long while since I played some props on the channel, I decided to hop into the plane that got me started in Aerobi, the Focke-Wulf 190 A-8. Is it the best plane in the game? Definitely not, but it's one of those comfortable planes where you don't really have to worry about all too many things. You have an airspawn, so at the start you can basically just fly straight in. And you have a lot of cannons, meaning you can basically fly straight in. And that's really the entire mantra about this plane. You want to rush in the first minute, do as much damage as possible, piece as many people apart as you can, and try to disrupt as many people that are trying to climb. And then if you do enough damage, your team will basically just auto-win. Now if you have a squad around, a plane like this, disrupting the early game, is extremely strong actually. Despite me not calling this thing a carry plane, because it definitely isn't, especially in the late game, it does do its work because of this community. If everyone plays it perfectly, this thing really isn't going to get that much done. It has the worst flight model out of all of the other Antons, because it just doesn't have the engine power, and it's a good bit heavier. Does it mean it's unflyable? Definitely not. Do be careful about the rudder at medium to high speed. It does become kind of finicky. But the flaps are actually strong enough where they don't really rip off at all. So at high speed you can actually do something. But if the enemy has that throttle keybind set up, you're gonna end up like big cum shot daddy over here. And you're probably just going to turn into a massive fireball. The damage model is actually pretty forgiving, but don't expect the plane to be handling at all. But it is pretty hard to put down, just like my dog in 2011. And to give you an idea, without any of the cherry picking, we did 13 matches and we got 68 kills, of which 8 are AI, but you know, that's still gonna be 61. So the fragging is gonna be pretty immense. I got 4-7 kills and some 4 and 5 kills sprinkled in where I think the clips were actually pretty okay. Now, in the background, you have been noticing that I'm simply just going balls in. I'm actually taking the head-ons this time around because I don't have the performance to get past the head-on. So preferably, I try to end it before the merge even occurs. And because of the roll rate, it's very easy to recommit into the head-ons, and the firepower is so immense that even without any actual turn rate, you're still able to piece people apart without much issue. After you kill the first 1 or 2 guys in the head-on, or you energy trap them because they are stall climbing and you come in with your airspawn, you want to look for planes that are going to be the most annoying to deal with in the late game if you don't end up having any teammates around. So I mostly look for the Yak 3Us, the LF Mark 9s, and the planes that are the most annoying to deal with, even if it's flown by an absolute troglodyte. So things like the A7M and the A6M kind of hard counter you into the later game, because there's basically always a plane around that can catch you, because the Anton A8 is actually not that fast. And if you have to deal with an A6 as well, you have to play a super passive game, and that's exactly what this plane is bad at. So try to get those planes out of the lobby, and then you can focus on vehicles that actually compress a little bit at high speed and don't turn that well. We have a VB10 coming in, we kind of just drop the flaps, and you can tell that the flaps really, they don't rip off at all. We reverse this guy instantly, he kind of flies in front of us, we get a few hits in, I think it's only the 13 mils, and here you can see that the turn rate without flaps literally doesn't exist. We pop the flaps for the shot, we piece him apart. He doesn't have any energy left, and then we pitch straight down for a squad mate that got interrupted by my buddy in a 109. And just like that, we get a very quick 2 little kills. Now here for the other game, we are gonna get another 7. We climb straight in, there's a Lancaster flying straight over, so we're just gonna let it rip. He's gonna turn a little bit, we shoot some rounds, saw his wing off, and that is going to be kill number 1. We level out, and then we see some planes that actually are kind of like us. They are the F-82s, and we don't actually want to go head on with those things. While the 50 cals don't do that much damage when they only have 6 of them, despite being M3s, when they have the gun pod on, and trust me, most of the time they do, they will absolutely laser you. And the F-82 damage model is actually pretty damn annoying, because the middle of the vehicle can actually not be destroyed other than the elevator itself. So what kind of ends up happening very often, you hit them center mass, you don't actually kill them, and then they recommit and just absolutely hose you down. F-82s are some of the most annoying planes to deal with in this thing, because they basically do what we do, except even when you kill them, that head-on is still dangerous. Try to aim for their wings, preferably the outer wings, not the inner wings, because you cannot actually saw the plane in half. So be careful of them, they're not that fantastic, but they are definitely extremely annoying. We get kill number 2 in the head-on, Spitfire trying to pitch into us, not sure what his plan was right there, but we're just gonna ignore the 2 guys on our left, and we're gonna basically climb straight into the furball. I try to have as many people around me as possible. Normally you see me go for the outliers and the people that are kind of separated. In this, I'm trying to look for the highest concentration of enemies, just to wrap up the game as quickly as we can. We just want to kill as many numbers, and then our team should be able to do the rest and deal with the 1 or 2 high value target planes. Now, depending on the plane, I will go out of my way, as I said, with the Yak-3U or an LF Mark 9, for example. But overall, I'm just looking to kill as much shit as quickly as I can. VB-10 turns around. Now, also a plane with a lot of firepower, but it kind of handles like this thing does, except more of a boat and without the roll rate. We hit him in the head-on, it says hit, but I mean, look at him, he is absolutely toast. That thing is hardly airworthy with both its engines operating, and it looks like I just knocked one of them out. And now here we are, exactly where I want to be. That's 4 people in front of me. They're all shooting at a bomber. So I'm just gonna kind of slide in here and kill as many people as possible. We start going for the C-Fire because I know that he is gonna be very annoying, even if he's the worst player in the game. And then we turn around and we shoot at the F-8F. We miss our shots, unfortunately, but I am more concerned with the C-Fire. Kill the C-Fire, and then we switch on over to the VB-10 again. We only get some hits in. I miss my rounds, and then I'm not really able to readjust my aim because the plane is going relatively slow and it's not that agile. F-8F turns for us. I'm not really concerned about reversing him or whatever. I just want to kill the VB-10. I am only caring about stuff that's in front of me. I just want to shoot stuff. And then the F-8F is on us. I mean, he is smoking, he has gun pods, and it's an F-8F, so I just want to make him turn as long as possible. So I'm just kind of turning out here. I'm trying to make him follow me, and then we simply break off. And now the 190, I mean, he's going to be on the 6 if the F-8F decides to chase me, and if the F-8F breaks off to go for the 190, which he should do at this point, because otherwise he's dead. And then I turn around and kill him. He can't really do anything, but he still chooses the worst option, and he's just going to chase the guy that he isn't catching, and let the guy on the 6 basically just kill him for free. You can tell that I'm trying to turn around, but his F-8F is completely obsessed with trying to run me down. I'm not entirely sure because I'm outrunning him. He has to maneuver for the 190 behind him. So really, he isn't going to do anything. I was going to try and taunt him, but I mean, he's finally somewhat turning around, but I'm not sure what he's doing. At this point, I think he uninstalled his brain. We just full commit in the head-on and we send him back to the hangar. Decal in the description. Then we dive onto the first guy and we piece him apart. He doesn't see us, so I'm not gonna show the entire lead up to that. We absolutely shit in his mouth, and then we just kind of pitch up and start looking for the next Spitfire. And you can tell that I'm killing a lot of Spitfires today. They're really annoying to deal with when you're flying this thing, and it's mostly because they are so maneuverable and you're not actually that quick, and they actually climb quite well. So you don't want those things on your ass. While you might be able to outrun a lot of them, it takes a lot of time to actually reset the fight, or perhaps just get enough separation to push for a head-on. And again, time is a resource that is not in your favor when it comes to flying this thing. Now in this case, I have enough energy, so I just kind of loop on over. I try to keep the loop a little bit wide, then I drop back down, and we piece him apart as well. And that's a word I've been using a lot today. I'm not entirely sure why that is. We see 2 guys on the left. It's a Spitfire and an A7M. And we see multiple guys on the right. Now, I was saying I'm going for the high density of enemies. But I see a Spitfire and an A7M. And I think that those are more annoying than only A6Ms, because the A7M is a lot more of a dangerous plane, and these guys are a little bit closer, so I decided to take a little bit of a detour. I figured I go a little bit left, dive on the Spit, dive on the A7M, maybe get 1 or 2 kills, and then we start going towards the furball on the right. Spitfire goes under us, not really a good shot there, so I'm just going to keep going straight for the A7M, because he's actually going to be more annoying than the Spitfire, because that is not an LF Mark 9. We start closing in, we're going 620 kilometers an hour. He doesn't really notice us, he noticed us last second, but at this point it is way too late, and we implode his entire vehicle. We go into the climb. I don't want to go too aggressive with the turn here. I'm just gonna keep it a little bit wide, keep my speed a little bit higher, and let the Spitfire come to me. I have the position here. If he decides he wants to pitch up into this, he dies, but if he just keeps it straight, he might become a little bit of a harder shot, but I'm still going to kill him. He is not fast enough, and I'm in a very good position to just run his ass down and spray him down. We get him underneath us, he doesn't have the energy, and I mean, we just kind of implode his brains. We dive in, boom, and we go towards the next guy, which was meant to be the A6M. Instead, we have Skibbity Gruzzelman over here that is going to run us down in the Spitfire. And at this point, I'm not actually fast enough to get away from him. We are on co-eld, he's able to dive a little bit as well, and if I have to turn around, I lose a lot of energy, so I'd rather just push the head-on, and I'm going to be absolutely spraying this guy down, because if I don't kill him in the head-on, I am probably dead. So we are just hosing and hosing and hosing, and I managed to miss everything. Do not ask me how. So I decide to just do the funny and go into a bit of a turn, except it is the clipped wing Spitfire. Now, the clipped wing Spitfire is worse. The thing is, it loses a lot more energy, which means that he instantly cuts inside of me, because he's gonna be a hell of a lot slower. But it also means that I can run away for a little bit and reset the fight. I'm gonna try to get my speed up a little bit higher, and the second I reach basically my straight line speed, and I have an ample distance, I'm gonna drop the flaps and pull straight in. Is this optimal? No. But this is the way I fly this thing, and I just find it a lot more fun. So I'm gonna try to slow down as much as I can. While going into the vertical, we drop the landing flaps, we try to stay over his nose. We almost get pieced apart here, and I said it again, but after he missed that shot, we are able to kind of prop hang him, because the Spitfire with clipped wings is not great when it comes to going vertical. I tried a rudder flip here, and I overdo it just a tiny amount, which means that I rolled into the wrong direction, and the plane is kind of unsettled for a little bit, which means that I'm not able to get the guns on at all, and he basically turns behind me again. Now here, I'm going to try to kind of turn behind him, hope that he reverses his turn, but he doesn't. He goes into a bit of a raid, but then he breaks off and he gives me a hell of a lot of room just to chase a bomber that is 1, faster than him, and 2, shooting actively with his gunners. He had me dead to rights. There is very little I can do at that kind of speed, even if it's a clipped wing Spitfire. And instead he decides to turn around because he just lost interest in me. I'm not sure what his plan was. Now he's way too slow. He turns right in front of me. He gives me the fattest broadside known to man. And we hit him with the me when object permanence, because he is lacking a lot of it. Now we can actually go to the A6M. He's already kind of coming towards us. I'm only going 320 kilometers an hour, which is not exactly ideal. So instead of going for the head-on, I'm gonna climb a little bit. Right now I'm at my optimal kind of energy gaining position, and he is slightly below me. So what I want to do here is kind of use the dive to dive back into him. I could have gone straight for a little bit longer, but I wanted to have the most amount of speed possible, and I'm just gonna spray only the MGs at max range that I do have tracers in, so that he wants to not take the head-on. Now he is dodging me. I'm going 530 at this point. He has been dodging for a little bit, and that just means that I'm able to break off. He needs to do a 1 or 180. He's going to be losing a lot of speed, and you can tell that I'm gaining separation very, very rapidly. And I know that he doesn't want to take the head-on, which is what he can't really do. But because he is so opposed to taking the head-on, it gives me a lot of room to actually play it a lot more aggressively. Now I do want to be careful that he doesn't end up pulling in last second, because A6Ms are pretty damn good at it. But for now, I'm just going to put in some separation, mainly in the vertical, and then we are going to just pitch straight in. I'm confident that this guy does not want to take this head-on, and thus he's just going to be dodging me again. And because he's just dodging me, he's way too slow. We set him on fire, and he instantly puts it out, because that's just how A6Ms are. Now at this point, he is damaged. He's probably completely orange, yellow, and he's losing a lot more speed, a lot more drag. He is not going to be nearly as fast. So I'm going to have an easier time energy trapping him. But now he's probably going to be desperate. He's probably actually going to head on me. So I'm just going to keep the distance a little bit higher. I'm going to play it like a massive pussy. There's no other way around it. And if you notice, I'm kind of trying to use the terrain here so that if he wants to go into my direction, he has to climb over something, meaning that he's going to have even less energy. We push ahead on. He's probably actually going to shoot back this time because he's way too slow and he kind of has to. He does so. We hit his engine there. And now it's really done deal. I don't have to use the terrain. I don't have to gain separation. I can basically pitch straight up and drop directly on top of him. And that's exactly what we do. We just kind of pull in behind him here. We drop the flaps and I mean, there's really nothing he can do at this point. He doesn't even have the ability to pull into the head-on. We're just using the 13 mil, so I can kill that bomber there on the other side of the map, just in case I need to. 0 goes down, and then we kind of shit in the mouth of the MB-162. Now, I do want to be careful of the gunners and the 20 mils, but, I mean, at this point, I don't really care anymore. I'm just going to spray him down. We get some hits in. We knock down a gunner almost instantly. And then we just kind of sit directly on his ass and take his plane apart. And then a guy in the chat in our team is asking me to leave him alive so that he can bomb. But he is on his way back to the runway. He hasn't even rearmed yet. And I'm not gonna wait 8 minutes for one guy to bomb. Now, if there is a guy that is about to drop, or the enemy says, yo, can I drop when he's the last alive? I'll say yes. But, you know, in true War Thunder, wholesome community fashion, he tells me to go fuck myself because I didn't want the entire lobby to wait 8 minutes for him to drop some bombs. Now here we go into the very first match that I played, and I just want to very quickly go over some things about my channel and some things that I want to clear up. Some guys ask me, you're quitting YouTube, or are you quitting YouTube because it didn't go well enough? No, it actually exceeded my expectations a little bit, and it's definitely become very successful. We're at 150,000 subs now. We're getting pretty stable views, a lot more than when I actually went full-time. So overall, it's been a great journey. The thing is that I'm someone that likes to be around people somewhat. That's why I work in healthcare, and if you're wondering, yes, I'm a paramedic. Right now, I'm not working as one. I'm simply a dispatch kind of workforce. I go to different companies and kind of clean up their mess. It pays a little bit better, and I'm trying to save for a house. So I think that combining the income from YouTube and an actual job is just a better way to go around it. It's a little bit more stable, and it makes it so that I can actually work. Because I have to admit that while YouTube isn't bad by any means, it's very privileged, and I'm very thankful that I'm in the position to even go full-time with it. I don't enjoy sitting behind a computer the entire day. I don't like sitting in an office kind of setting the entire day and having all my communication be through Discord, through email, through chat, and all those types of things. I worked in healthcare, so I can be on the move, I can have an active job, and it doesn't really feel like working. You're just kind of doing physical tasks like in the hit game Among Us, and you're just kind of talking to people, working with people, and then after a certain amount of time, suddenly it's 5 PM and I can go home. Whereas with an office job, or with playing for YouTube, or with editing, there is constantly a clock in my face, and I'm constantly looking at the clock, and I'm constantly thinking about, oh, I still have to do this, I have to publish it by this time, I have to put in this kind of work, and it's all kind of planned out. And I became a paramedic because I really hate planning, believe it or not, and I hate sitting behind a computer all day. I like to be active, and that's why I work out 4 to 5 times a week as well. So overall, I think this is going to be a lot better of a balance. The frequency of videos shouldn't be going down that much, but I also don't want to compromise in the quality that I have. So if I don't have the time to actually make one, you might end up only seeing one in said week. Don't be alarmed if I don't drop a video on a Monday or on a Friday. I'm not going anywhere until I actually announce I will. Thank you all for watching, thank you all for sticking around, and I'll see you in the next one.